I didn't start faking headaches because I hated my husband. I started faking headaches because it was the cleanest excuse I had. One that sounded medically innocent. One that couldn't be argued with. One that made me the victim instead of the person quietly pulling away. At first, it was once a week. Then it became my default. A hand to my temple. A soft sigh. I'm just not feeling great tonight. And he would back off immediately, every time, because my husband is the kind of man who would rather go without than make me uncomfortable. That's what makes the guilt worse. He wasn't pressuring me. He wasn't demanding. He wasn't threatening. He was just trying. And I was using his decency like a shield. The part one didn't want to admit was that the real reason I didn't want him touching me wasn't the headaches. It was the fact that I'd started giving all my softness to my phone. Evan and I had been married 6 years. No kids. 2 solid careers. A normal house. A normal life. From the outside, we looked like the type of couple people describe as goals. Inside our marriage, things were quieter. Not abusive quiet. Not scary quiet. Just tired quiet. We both worked long hours. I'd come home overstimulated, drained, wanting silence. Evan would come home wanting connection. Talking, laughing, touching, the simple reassurance that we still belong to each other. I used to want that too. Somewhere along the way, I started associating intimacy with obligation. Like it was one more task on the list: respond to emails, meal prep, pay bills, be a good wife. And when something becomes a chore, you avoid it. So I avoided. At first, I blamed stress. Then I blamed hormones. Then I blamed headaches. Headaches were perfect because no one can prove you don't have one. It wasn't like Evan was clueless. He noticed the pattern before I admitted it to myself. One Friday night, he came up behind me while I was rinsing dishes and kissed the side of my neck. Gentle, familiar, married. I flinched. Not dramatically. Just a small recoil. But he felt it. He backed away like he'd burned his hand. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah." I lied quickly. I've had a headache all day." He nodded. "Do you want Tylenol?" "Water." I hated that I felt irritated at his kindness. "No," I said. "I just want to go to bed." Evan didn't argue. He didn't sulk. He just said, "Okay, love. Rest." I went to bed. And I spent the next 2 hours on my phone. Not reading. Not scrolling mindlessly. Texting. The messages weren't even explicitly sexual. That was the story I told myself to keep my self-image intact. It was my coworker Liam. Someone I'd started leaning on during a hectic project. He was funny, emotionally attentive, always available in a way Evan couldn't be during his busiest season. Liam would message me late. "You good? You seemed off today. You deserve better support." And I'd respond, thinking it was harmless because it was just words. But words are intimacy too. I was telling Liam things I should have been telling Evan. I was giving Liam my emotional honesty and giving Evan a performance. Evan got my "I'm fine." Liam got my truth. That's how emotional affairs start. Quietly under the cover of, "It's not cheating." And the headaches? The headaches were how I avoided feeling the contrast. Because I knew if Evan touched me, I'd feel like a fraud. After a few months, Evan started asking questions. Carefully, like he was trying not to spook me. "Have you been feeling okay lately? Do you want to see a doctor about these headaches? Is it stress? Work?" I hated those questions because they required me to either lie or admit that the problem wasn't physical. So I got defensive. "It's just headaches," I said. "Why are you interrogating me?" He blinked, hurt. "I'm not interrogating. I'm worried." "Stop worrying," I snapped. "It's making it worse." Evan went quiet, and I watched him do the thing good men do when they're trying not to be pushy. He retreated. He started initiating less. He stopped touching me casually. He stopped asking, which in the moment felt like relief, and later felt like distance. I didn't fix it though. I just took the space and filled it with my phone. The night everything broke wasn't a screaming match. It wasn't a dramatic, caught-in-bed moment. It was a Tuesday. Boring. Ordinary. The kind of day you think can't change your life. Evan cooked dinner. Chicken, rice, roasted vegetables. Because he meal preps like an adult. He set a plate down in front of me and tried to talk about something small. A funny story from his coworker, a new restaurant he wanted to try this weekend, normal husband stuff. I smiled at the right moments while my phone buzzed on the counter. Buzz. Buzz. I tried to ignore it, but my brain was already leaning toward it like a magnet. Evan noticed. He didn't say anything at first. He just watched me glance down. Again and again. Finally he said gently, "Can we just eat together?" I exhaled like he was annoying. "I am." He nodded. "Without the phone." My chest tightened. "Why?" "Because I miss you," he said. Simple. Honest. No drama. That sentence should have softened me. Instead, I felt trapped. Because if I put the phone away, I'd have to actually be present with the man I'd been neglecting. So I did what I always did. I reached for my get-out-of-jail-free card. "My head hurts," I said, already pushing my plate away. "I think I'm getting a migraine." Evan froze. His eyes flicked to my plate, then to my phone, then back to me. "Okay," he said slowly. "Do you need anything?" "No," I said too fast. "I'm just going to lay down." Evan nodded. "I'll bring you water." I walked to the bedroom with the confidence of someone who thinks the lie will work, because it always has. I got into bed, turned on my side, and immediately picked up my phone. Relief washed through me. Sweet, pathetic relief. Then Evan walked in. Not with water. With a look on his face I hadn't seen before, calm but done. He stood in the doorway and watched me on my phone like I was a stranger. I sat up slightly. "What?" Evan's voice was quiet. "Your headache's getting better?" My stomach dropped. I tried to play it off. "I'm just distracting myself." Evan nodded once, like he was filing that excuse away with all the others. Then he said, "Who are you texting?" I felt anger flare, because anger is easier than shame. "Why are you asking?" "Because you haven't wanted me in months," he said calmly. "But you want your phone." I scoffed. "That's not fair." Evan took a breath. "Then make it fair." "Show me." My heart started pounding. "No." Evan's eyes didn't harden. He didn't raise his voice. He just said, "Okay." And he turned to leave. That "okay" terrified me because it wasn't resignation. It was decision. "Evan," I snapped, sitting up. "Stop being dramatic." He paused at the door and looked back at me. "I'm not being dramatic," he said. "I'm finally paying attention." I got out of bed and followed him into the living room. Phone in my hand like it was part of my body. Evan sat down on the couch and stared at the wall for a moment, like he was choosing his words carefully. Then he said, "I've been trying to be patient. I've been trying not to pressure you. I've been trying to be the good guy who gives you space." I crossed my arms. "Okay." Evan continued, voice steady. "But I'm starting to feel like I'm married to someone who doesn't like me." That sentence sliced through me. "I do like you," I said quickly. Evan nodded, almost sadly. "Then why do you recoil when I touch you? Why do you claim headaches the moment I try? And why does your face light up for that phone?" My throat tightened. I tried to pivot. "This is about sex." "You're making it about sex." Evan looked at me. "It's not about sex. It's about connection. And you've been gone." I felt tears rise. Half guilt, half rage that I was being exposed. "You don't understand how stressed I am," I said. Evan nodded again. "I've asked you. I've offered help. You shut me out." I whispered, "I'm trying." Evan's eyes flicked to my phone. "Are you?" Silence sat between us. Then Evan said, "If you're not cheating, you'll show me." I snapped, "So you don't trust me?" Evan's voice stayed calm. "Trust isn't a vibe. It's behavior. And your behavior is secretive." I held onto my phone harder. Evan watched that tiny motion and exhaled. "Okay," he said. "That's my answer." My heart raced. "What are you doing?" Evan stood up. "I'm leaving for the night." "What?" I said, panicked now. "Why?" He looked at me like I was missing something obvious. Because I'm not going to sit here and beg for my wife's attention while she protects her phone like it's more important than our marriage. I stepped closer. You're overreacting. Evan shook his head slowly. No. I've underreacted for months. Then he walked to our bedroom. I followed him. He opened the closet and started pulling out a duffel bag. The sound of the zipper was louder than it should have been. Evan, I said, voice cracking. Stop. He didn't stop. He folded clothes with quiet precision. Evan, I said again, softer. Please. Evan finally looked at me. I asked you for honesty, he said. You gave me headaches. My eyes burned. I didn't mean. Evan interrupted gently. You did mean it. You just didn't mean for it to have consequences. The next part is the part one keep replaying. Because it's where I could have saved things. I could have handed him my phone. I could have said, I'm sorry. I've been texting someone and it's wrong. I could have cried and told the truth and begged sincerely. Instead, I held the lie like a life raft. Nothing is happening, I said. You're being paranoid. Evan stared at me for a long moment. Then he nodded like he was accepting something. Okay, he said quietly. Then it'll be easy for you to let me go. I blinked. What? Evan zipped the bag. I'm not staying in a marriage where my wife refuses me and hides her life from me. Panic surged through me. So what, you're divorcing me? Evan's voice stayed level. I'm saying we're separated starting tonight. I'm staying at my brother's. Tomorrow we can talk about counseling or next steps. But I'm done pretending this is normal. My stomach dropped. You can't just. I can, he said, not cruel. I should have done it sooner. He walked past me with the bag. I followed him to the front door like a kid chasing a parent. Evan, I said, tears spilling now, I'm sorry. Evan paused with his hand on the knob. Are you sorry, he asked quietly, or are you scared? I couldn't answer. Because the truth was both. Evan opened the door. Then he did something that broke me more than yelling ever could. He looked at me. Eyes tired, not angry. And said, I hope whoever you're texting is worth the loneliness you're about to feel. And he left. I sat on the floor by the door with my phone in my hand like an idiot. It buzzed. Liam, you okay? You went quiet. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. Then I did the first honest thing I'd done in months. I didn't reply. Because in that moment, the fantasy collapsed. Liam wasn't going to move in and pay the mortgage. Liam wasn't going to build a life with me. Liam was a screen that made me feel chosen in short bursts. Evan was my husband, and I had treated him like an inconvenience. The next day, Evan sent me a short email with bullet points. That's how he is when he's trying not to be emotional. I'm at my brother's. I want marriage counseling if you're willing to be fully honest. If not, we'll consult attorneys and separate amicably. Please don't call me repeatedly. One message is enough. It felt like a punch. He was already protecting his peace. I showed up at his brother's anyway, because I was desperate. Evan didn't come outside. His brother did. He's not ready, his brother said calmly. Go home. I whispered. Tell him I'm sorry. His brother looked at me with a kind of blunt sympathy. He said he's sorry too, his brother replied. Sorry he waited so long to believe what he was seeing. That sentence haunted me. Evan came back a week later. Not to reconcile. To retrieve the rest of his things. He moved like a man who had already mourned me while living with me. He didn't take everything. Just the essentials, documents, clothes, a few sentimental items. When I tried to talk, he listened, but his face stayed guarded. I finally confessed about Liam. Not the full emotional truth, but enough. I didn't sleep with him, I said quickly, as if that made it okay. It was just talking. Evan nodded slowly. Do you know what hurts? He asked quietly. It's not even the talking. It's that you used headaches to make me feel guilty for wanting my wife. I started crying harder. Evan didn't comfort me. Not because he was cruel. Because he was done providing tenderness to someone who used it against him. I want counseling, I begged. I'll do anything. Evan's eyes stayed steady. Then start with honesty. No more scripts. No more symptoms. No more distractions. I nodded like a child. Evan paused, then said something I'll never forget. I'm not competing with your phone. And then he left with a box of his things. The guy wins in this story in a way that doesn't look flashy. He wins by refusing to be slowly erased. He wins by noticing patterns, asking calmly, and then acting when the answer is avoidance. He wins by leaving without cruelty, just boundaries. And me? I learned that avoiding intimacy isn't neutral. It's a message. And when you lie with your body, flinching, withdrawing, faking symptoms, eventually the person who loves you stops asking what's wrong. They start listening to what you're showing them. I used headaches to avoid a hard conversation. Now I'm living with the result of not having it sooner. My remarks. Hey guys, thanks for watching. She wasn't sick. She was avoiding intimacy and replacing connection with her phone. He won by staying calm, calling out the pattern, and leaving the moment her actions proved she was protecting secrecy over marriage. No yelling, no begging. Just boundaries and self-respect. Subscribe. More tomorrow.